My name's Alissa Widman, Neese. I'm a Metro reporter at the Columbus Dispatch. When a public relations professional is pitching a story idea to a journalist, I think it's very important for them to keep in mind that journalists are most interested in stories that will have a message that impacts people and impacts a community. They want to write stories that will have people thinking, well, why do I care about this? And then answer that question. Sometimes I think some public relations professionals might focus more on how a story would benefit the client that they're representing. And I think it's most important to think of the audience that the journalist is writing to, because that's what's going to ultimately make them pick up that story idea. Another tip for public relations professionals who are pitching story ideas is to always remember that their grammar and punctuation, it will be the first impression on a journalist, and journalists really like proper punctuation and grammar and sentence structure. So they should always market themselves in the best way possible, while always paying attention to AP style. And another important writing tip for a public relations professional is to make sure that their writing is concise as possible. Journalists are very busy, and sometimes it's very difficult to read through a lengthy press release that really doesn't pitch the key focus of the story until several paragraphs down. You don't want to confuse them, you don't want to bury the lead, and keeping the most important parts of the story up at the top of the press release will ensure that the journalist will be interested in it as quickly as possible. My last tip for a public relations professional is to always follow up with a journalist over the phone if they're pitching their stories initially over email. We all know that sometimes you can get bombarded with a bunch of emails in your inbox and unintentionally lose track of a story idea. Maybe it was something that was sent a few weeks ahead of time. If you follow up over the phone, it not only ensures that they're paying attention, but it also shows that you care, and you can put a human touch on the pitch. You can have a conversation, you can be approachable, and that really makes a good impression. For the past few years, I have been working in the Sandusky area at a newspaper called the Sandusky Register. I covered schools there and dealt with many public relations professionals from different school districts and colleges in the area. And I had very good experiences with many of the public relations professionals there, mainly because they were really interested in getting to know me as a person before they were pitching their story ideas. Within the first week of me landing that job, they were reaching out, they were wanting to get lunch, they were wanting to show me around their school campuses to just really give me a good understanding of what made their school so important and what made their school tick. And that background information was really great. I think it's important for a journalist to meet a public relations person before they're writing some sort of maybe negative or tragic story. You don't want to meet someone that's going to be one of your sources on the worst day of their life. You want to meet them way ahead of time and develop those relationships. And I think those relationships were what really made those people stand out to me as a reporter. I felt like I knew them as a person, not just through their pitches. And that made it very easy for us to talk out what might work as a story and what might not. So I just think it was a very beneficial thing on both ends.